A drone strike in Beirut's southern suburbs has killed a senior Hamas official, Saleh Al Arouri. The latest strike could mark a major escalation in the ongoing war. And there have been a slew of remarks coming in from the Western leaders on Arouri's death, urging for de-escalation. To talk more on this, we are now being joined by Dr. Avner Cohen. He's a professor of non-proliferation and terrorism studies at the Middlebury Institute. Dr. Cohen is joining us from California. Thanks very much for taking our time and joining us here on WION, Dr. Cohen.
Good evening. Thank you.
And Dr. Cohen, Al Arouri is the most senior Hamas figure to be killed since the war began. How do you gauge the death affecting the ongoing war, especially after the death of Hamas leader Al Arouri on the Lebanese soil?
Could you repeat, please, the question? I couldn't. There was a little problem. Can you restart?
Right, yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
I was asking you that how do you gauge Al Arouri's death? He's one of the most senior Hamas figure to be killed since the war began. How will his death affect the ongoing war?
It's not clear how much it affects the war itself. It was very much needed for Israel to restore its own sense of credibility to its own people, to its own brand image in the Middle East, and also to make credible its threats to take some kind of punishment or even revenge to those who were directly involved in the events of October 7th. It's not clear to me at this point, depends what will happen from now on. I don't think it's a game change, and it's not clear what its impact on the war that's going on in Gaza, except it's going to complicate the situation for the hostages. For now, it's suspended, that thing. But it was something that Israel needed to show to others in the region, as well as to its own people, that its credibility remain, and it still has the ability to take that kind of action, especially after its intelligence has failed very, very badly.
Right, Dr. Cohen, yes, please continue.
No. I'm ready for your question.
Yeah, I was asking you that you speak of how the death of Al Arouri will have no impact in the ongoing war, but why is that? Because he is one of the topmost Hamas leader and also the mastermind of the attack on Israel.
Well, he's not the mastermind. He is very much at the top of the leadership. He is so far the highest person on Hamas leadership that Israel was able to assassinate. It's actually, in terms of his own knowledge about what happened on October 7th, apparently he knew about it just minutes before the action. He was involved in the efforts. He was the number 2 in the political office of Hamas outside Gaza. He was also involved in the activities of Hamas in the West Bank. But from what we know, he was not directly involved in the events of October 7th. It's not clear, as of now, its direct impact on the Gaza itself, except, as I said before, it would suspend the issue of it will complicate the issue of negotiation for some kind of truce to release, or to have some kind of arrangement to release the hostages, or at least some of them.
Right, Dr. Cohen, what can we expect from the Hamas militants group? Will Arouri's death hinder its plans in the ongoing war or not?
Well, in terms of Hamas itself, it doesn't have, as you know, Hamas is very much on defensive in Gaza itself. Its military capabilities have been diminished. The big question is to what extent Hezbollah, which is the big player in Lebanon itself, and essentially the host of Saleh Al Arouri in Beirut, in the area that he was staying, the headquarters of Hezbollah, to what extent that organization would tolerate that kind of operation under its territory. And I think that could complicate things. I think that both Israel and Hamas and the Hezbollah do not have interest to go right now to a full war. Nevertheless, Hamas is, I think, determined to respond in some kind of action, but that action, I think, should be less than escalation that would go to a full war. A full war would be destruction for Lebanon. I don't think that Hamas is interested. I don't think that Israel is interested. So both sides have a narrow area to escalate, but not to escalate enough in order to lead to a new war within Lebanon and Israel itself.
Right,
So it's kind of a challenge for both sides.
Right, Dr. Cohen, there are growing concerns regarding the escalation of the ongoing war. Well, Israel did not even warn the U.S. before the attack, and all this while the West is urging restraint in the ongoing war. Do you think the West will be successful in trying to diffuse tensions?
Well, I don't think that the West has much ability to influence at this point. It's very much at this point, and we are talking just about less than just about 12 hours after the assassination or so. It's very much the question is to what extent Hassan Nasrallah, the head of Hezbollah, how far he would be ready to go, to what extent his response would be able to play in that narrow space of escalating, but not escalating too strong that would lead to war. Everybody calls for some kind of calm. Obviously, Israel has reached its objective in a sense that it's got boost to its own people. It was able to reestablish its ability to take that kind of action and to keep its brand name. Now it's the turn of Hezbollah, and it's very much there is a, so to speak, an anxious silence right now to see what would be the Hezbollah reaction.
Last question to you, Dr. Cohen. Can you shed some light on Israel's trajectory at the moment? First, it reduced some troops from Gaza, and now the airstrike in Beirut. What does it plan to do going ahead?
Well, obviously, it's not the interest of Israel to have war on two frontiers at the same time. Israel could do that, but it would be very much extending of its resources, and it would be tough. So Israel would like to finish what it needs to do on the Gaza front to move from what's called the phase 2 to phase 3, which means some kind of redeployment, taking some troops out of that and moving to a new change, at least the northern Gaza scenario. While still raging war in the southern Gaza, especially the Khan Yunis area. So Israel has no interest to go right now to a second frontier. I don't think it's Hezbollah interest as well. But at the same time, Hezbollah needs to protect and to give credibility to its own brand name to do some kind of reactions. And as I said, both sides have a very limited area to do that kind of escalation, but not escalation that would be too big, that would lead to a full another war.
Right, Dr. Cohen, thanks very much for taking our time and joining us here on WION and sharing insights with us on this story.
My pleasure. Thank you.